So in this tutorial, we'll be looking at how to create macro buttons in order to navigate around our spreadsheet. And by navigate around our spreadsheet, I mean move easily from one page to another. So you can see here, I've got an example of a spreadsheet that I've created for a clothing company. And on my home page, I've got 3 macro buttons that I've created. And when we press those buttons, they take us to the various pages of the spreadsheet. On each of the other pages of the spreadsheet, I've then got a home button, which when I press that, will take us back to the home page of our spreadsheet. So in order to recreate these buttons that I've made here, firstly, I'll open a new spreadsheet and then I'll create the pages that I need. I'm going to create 4 pages. You can create as many as you need, and obviously you'll name your pages appropriate to your business. So just for the purpose of this example, I'll call this page Home. I'll call this page Costs. I'll call this page Customers. I'll call this page Drafts. Okay. Then I will select the whole of my spreadsheet and customize my spreadsheet to suit the color of my business. In my case, my business uses a color scheme of black and white. So I'm just going to fill all of those pages with my chosen color. And then I'm going to return to the home page. And firstly, to create my macro buttons, I need to insert a shape. So in the Insert tab here, I need to select Shapes, which is in the Illustrations section. And I'm going to go for the rounded rectangle, just because to my mind that one is the most button-like shape. You can choose whatever shape you feel is appropriate for your business. I'm going to draw that button or that shape onto my spreadsheet. And then I'm going to customize the color to suit my chosen business. So in my shape fill here, I'm going to select black. I'm going to change my shape outline to black as well so that it blends in rather than contrasts my button. And then I'm just going to add some text to my button to tell the user which page this button will go to. So I right click on my shape or my button, and then I select edit text, and this will be a button that takes me to the cost page. So I'm going to click away from my button and click back onto my button, and then I'm just going to align the text horizontally and vertically to the center just because I think it looks more aesthetically pleasing. I'm going to increase the size of my font slightly just to make it stand out a little bit and change it to bold. All of these things that I'm doing now with regards to the font style and the color scheme are obviously down to personal preference. So once you've made your button or you've inserted your shape and you've added relevant text to it, then you need to record a macro, that will take you to the relevant page of your spreadsheet. So I'm going to click on my button again, or click on my shape again, right click on my mouse and go down to Assign Macro. Now when you're deciding what to call your macro, the usual convention for naming a macro that you record is to start the naming with MCR and then use an underscore and then call it the page that the button will take you to. So I'm calling mine MCR Costs, and then you need to select Record. In the next pop-up box that appears, there's no need to make any changes. So if you press OK, then you will start to be recording any actions that you now complete. So what I'd like my button to do in the future is to move to my costs page. So whilst I'm recording, I'm going to select my costs page. And then all I need to do is use the little square at the bottom of the page to stop recording. And then if I go back to my home page and click away from my button, then when I hover over my button, you can see that the cursor changes from a cross to a pointing finger. That now gives us an indication that when we press or click that button or shape, something is going to happen. So if I click on my costs button, it then moves me to my costs page. So if we go back to my original example, you can see that I've repeated that process 3 times. So I've created an orders button, a costs button, and a graphs button. And as I said at the start, on each of the following pages, I then created a home button that links back to the home page. Once you have a working button, you can then copy and paste that button onto any other page that you need it on. So I've copied and pasted that to my costs and my graph page. The other important thing to remember once you've created any macros in your spreadsheet is that you need to make sure that you save your work in a slightly different way. So if you select File and Save As, and then select this PC or wherever you'd like to save your work to your chosen location. You can then name your file appropriately, and you need to make sure that instead of saving your spreadsheet as the default file type, which is an Excel workbook, you actually select the second file type on the drop-down list, which is an Excel macro-enabled workbook, and then save. I won't do that because I've done it previously. Then when you reopen your spreadsheet at a future time, your macros will still work.